This is Real News Media TV, coverage you can trust. Please like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates. Junior doctors receive lower retroactive payment than agreed. Junior doctors have been left disappointed after receiving retroactive salary payments, which they say are much lower than are due to them. The payments became due after the Jamaica Medical Doctors Association signed a new wage agreement with the government. But JMDA President Dr. Mindy Fitzhenley told the news that the amounts paid on Friday were incorrectly calculated. She said some doctors had even received no payment because of the fact that they are no longer at their original place of work, which is just ridiculous. They are just finding a way not to pay people, she complained.
Many persons are seeing, grave errors in the retro. Even for me, I sat and I've been working out, day by day, month by month, how much it is that I should have received, and it is way off. I have people who have received, just astronomically very different figures on what it is that they're expecting. And, it's very difficult going into this because they kept saying that this date is it, and they've arranged everything, but now the figures are incorrect. We also have persons who have moved from one institution to another who have unfortunately gotten zero because of the fact that they're no longer at that original institution, which is just ridiculous at this point in time. They know these persons work there. They just switched over in July to be able to start a residency training program. And these persons are still many times doing sessions at the original hospital, but they're just finding a way to not pay people. And unfortunately, this is the cycle that we find ourselves in.
Jamaican man reportedly denied HIV treatment while in UK detention. Britain's Home Office is facing a High Court battle over a HIV patient from Jamaica who was denied a life-saving treatment while being held in an immigration detention center for more than 2 weeks. According to the independent newspaper, the 42-year-old man who was awaiting deportation to Jamaica is reliant on daily medication to manage his condition. The dosages for his other ailments, including schizophrenia and depression, were also reduced by staff at Collinbrook Immigration Center. The law firm Duncan Lewis has brought the claim against the UK government, arguing that its client was subjected to false imprisonment by the Home Office for 17 days and that it did so without establishing a lawful policy relating to the detention of individuals with HIV. Following the man's release and a medical test, a specialist nurse confirmed that the virus had replicated due to the lack of treatment. In a 600-page judicial review claim form seen by the Independent, legal representatives are seeking damages and the legal costs from the Home Office, as well as declarations that it unlawfully detained the claimant in the context of human rights legislation. The man was detained on November 1 for the purpose of removal on a charter flight to Jamaica 9 days later. Despite his deportation order being cancelled on November 3 for medical reasons, the Home Office continued to detain him for another 2 weeks until November 17. The man's ordeal came after a High Court judge ruled in July that the Home Office had failed to put in place systems to protect detainees with HIV after a man was denied a life-saving medication for 4 days. School reopening schedule adjusted. Adjustments have been made to plans for the reopening of schools today, following a Ministry of Education circular that in-person instruction should resume at all infant, primary, and secondary level institutions. According to the Jamaica Association of Principals for Secondary Schools, the schools will use this week to make arrangements for the resumption of face-to-face classes. Each principal will then determine when classes will begin. The change follows a meeting on Friday involving officials of the Ministry of Education and Youth and the school administrators. Lynn Vernwright, president of the Jamaica Association of Principals of Secondary Schools, told the news that arising from the meeting, various models will be used for the resumption of in-person learning. He said some schools will first convene meetings with parents and the staff to ensure that the logistics for reopening are there. Not all schools will be able to accommodate all their students at the same time, with Jamaica still in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic, he added. It's reported that during Friday's meeting, school administrators raised a concern about the sharp increase in COVID-19 cases and the implications for face-to-face classes. The Ministry of Health and Wellness has cleared 856 schools for reopening. Mr. Wright said it was likely that following these consultations, most schools will be ready for reopening on January 7 instead of on the 3rd.
Come the 7th, some schools will open, some persons were able to be open tomorrow, are able to be open tomorrow. So what will happen for many schools this week are meetings with parents, meetings with staff, and just ensuring that logistics for reopening are there. Different models are going to be used. Some schools are going to be the week on, week off with some groups because they can't accommodate everybody. So essentially, it's a matter of planning for many persons this week and a phased rollout for others. And I guess next week, Monday, will be the days when everybody pretty much will be coming out. So it's kind of going to be a rolling or an alternate day thing or a mixed modality approach, just the same. But it's just that it's not going to be grade levels alone. It's going to be all groups who will be getting a chance to come out now.
3 persons killed in downtown Kingston on Sunday. Gunmen carried out several attacks in downtown Kingston on Sunday, leaving 3 persons dead and a 4th hospitalized. Hector Adams, a 70-year-old resident of Water Street, was one of those killed. About 3 p.m., Mr. Adams was standing at his gate when he was shot by a group of men. Gunmen also struck on East Queen Street, leaving 29-year-old Kimarli Cespedes dead and another man injured. The 3rd victim, 30-year-old Devon Morrison, was shot dead on Upper Regent Street shortly after 2 o'clock. Montego Bay mayor condemns the murder of municipal cop and uncle. Montego Bay mayor and the chairman of the St. James Municipal Corporation, Leroy Williams, has condemned the brutal killing of 34-year-old municipal police officer Jermaine Evans and Evans's uncle, 46-year-old Peter Stewart, in St. James on New Year's Eve. Evans was a municipal police officer at the SJMC since 2018. He was attacked while he was traveling to work along with his uncle on the Friendship Main Road on Friday. Again, a crime had reared its ugly head in our beloved parish of St. James. This Friday morning, one of our hardworking and law-abiding municipal police officers was viciously attacked and killed. As a mayor, I must condemn this act of barbarism, and I want to call on the security forces to leave no stones unturned until the perpetrator or perpetrators have been brought to justice, said Williams in response to the shocking development. He described Evans as a productive worker. From all accounts, Jermaine Evans was a very hardworking and dedicated municipal police officer. Our municipal police officers are saddened and traumatized by what occurred today, added Williams. The police reported that about 8 a.m., Stewart was a passenger in a Toyota motor car that was being driven by Evans along the Friendship Main Road heading towards Montego Bay when another vehicle with several men on board pulled up alongside them. The men, who were armed with guns, opened fire at Evans and Stewart, hitting them both multiple times before escaping from the scene. The police were alerted, and on their arrival, both men were seen in the vehicle with gunshot wounds to their upper bodies. Evans and Stewart were rushed to the hospital, where they were both pronounced dead. No motive has yet been established for the attack. We cannot afford another lockdown, said Holness. With the signs of a 4th wave of COVID-19 infections evident, Prime Minister Andrew Holness has urged the nation to employ infection control measures such as hand sanitization, mask wearing, and physical distancing to contain the spread of the virus. I believe it is widely understood that the country, you and your family, cannot afford another round of lockdowns, Holness said in his New Year's message to the nation. The Prime Minister warned that the country's health system can easily be overwhelmed by a surge in infections. He noted, however, that the reopening of schools was important, arguing that it would be an even greater tragedy if our children, having already lost over a year, were denied conventional schooling for longer. Schools were closed for face-to-face classes shortly after Jamaica recorded its first case of the novel coronavirus. The learning institutions were reopened briefly at intervals, but for the most part, children have been forced to access lessons via online platforms. Holness, in his message to the nation, said that Jamaicans will have to live with COVID-19. For almost 2 years of the pandemic, you now know what to do to protect yourself and your family. It is always good advice to eat right, exercise, and build your immune system, but specifically to wear your mask, sanitize, physical distance, avoid larger gatherings, and unnecessary travel. If you are ill with symptoms, get tested, isolate, and seek medical treatment, and above all, get immunized. I appeal to all Jamaicans to play their part in securing our recovery. Your health and your livelihood are in your hands, the Prime Minister said. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates.